All right, so today we're doing a deep dive into something that you might not think about all too often, high triglycerides.
Right.
We've got this really interesting blog post from kianmeng.org,
Okay.
and it really dives into just how common this issue is,
Yeah.
and more importantly, how much of an impact our everyday choices can have on those levels.
Yeah. It's a topic that often flies under the radar,
Yeah,
but it's definitely something we should all be more aware of.
I agree. So before we get too far, can you give us a quick breakdown of what triglycerides actually are?
Absolutely.
I think some people hear the word and kind of glaze over.
Yeah. Triglycerides are basically a type of fat found in your blood.
Okay.
They're formed from fatty acids and glycerol,
Uh-huh.
and their main job is to store and transport energy throughout your body.
Okay.
So when you eat any calories you don't use right away, get converted into triglycerides and stored in your fat cells.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you need energy later on, your body releases these triglycerides back into your bloodstream to be used as fuel.
So it's kind of like our body's built-in energy reserve.
Precisely. It's a
Ah.
perfectly natural and essential process.
Okay.
The problem arises when those triglyceride levels get too high.
Mm,
That's when we start seeing potential health risks.
makes sense. And the blog post points out that high triglycerides are much more common than you might think, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
Studies show that it affects a surprisingly large percentage of adults globally.
Okay.
We're talking 1 in 4, even 1 in 3.
Wow.
It's a silent epidemic in many ways.
That's a lot more than I would have guessed. I think a lot of people probably associate high cholesterol with heart health,
Right.
but triglycerides don't get as much attention.
That's true. But they're equally important to monitor.
Yeah.
And there's another layer to this.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about triglycerides, we're not just talking about one monolithic thing.
Okay.
There are actually different types,
Okay.
like VLDL, LDL, and HDL.
Mm-hmm.
And each of these plays a distinct role in how our body uses and transports fats.
That's interesting. Are they all bad?
Well, it's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
LDL, often referred to as the bad cholesterol,
Right.
can contribute to the buildup of plaque in your arteries.
Uh-huh.
But HDL, the good cholesterol,
Right.
actually helps clear out that LDL,
Oh.
reducing your risk of heart disease.
Mm.
When it comes to triglycerides, it's generally the high levels of VLDL, the very low-density lipoprotein,
Okay.
that are the main concern.
So it's about maintaining a healthy balance between these different types.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the good news is that unlike LDL cholesterol,
Uh-huh.
which can be more stubborn to change,
Right.
high triglycerides often respond very well to lifestyle modifications.
Okay. That's encouraging. What kind of lifestyle changes are we talking about here?
The big ones are diet and exercise.
Okay.
When it comes to diet, reducing your intake of simple sugars and processed foods is key.
Mm-hmm.
These types of foods tend to spike your blood sugar, which can lead to an increase in triglyceride production.
Okay.
Increasing your physical activity is also crucial. Regular exercise helps your body use up those triglycerides more efficiently,
Okay.
preventing them from building up in your bloodstream.
So it's about burning more energy than we take in, essentially.
It's a big part of it, yes. And maintaining a healthy weight is a natural outcome of these positive lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
Carrying excess weight can also contribute to higher triglyceride levels.
Uh-huh.
So it all ties together.
It sounds like making healthier choices in these areas can really make a difference. Speaking of diet, the blog post also dives into a specific ingredient
Yes.
that a lot of people might not realize is contributing to their triglyceride levels. Palm oil.
Yes, palm oil is definitely something to be mindful of. It's a common ingredient in many cuisines around the world,
Okay.
and it's often found in processed foods and even some seemingly healthy home-cooked meals.
So even if you're trying to eat a balanced diet,
Right.
you could still be getting a hefty dose of palm oil without realizing it.
That's the tricky part. You see, palm oil is high in saturated fat, which can raise your triglyceride levels.
Okay.
And what's even more concerning is that the quality of palm oil can vary greatly.
Uh-huh.
Restaurants and processed food manufacturers often use lower quality, less refined palm oil, which is even more detrimental to your health.
So it's not just about avoiding palm oil altogether, but also being aware of the quality and source.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's where reading labels and being informed about the ingredients in your food comes in.
Now, the blog post mentions something really interesting, an AI-generated food table. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. This table, which the author includes in their blog post,
Yeah.
actually outlines various food categories that are known to contribute to high triglycerides.
So it's like a tool to help you make more informed choices about what you're eating.
Exactly. It breaks down specific examples of foods that could be impacting your triglyceride levels,
Uh-huh.
making it easier to spot potential culprits in your diet.
That's amazing. So you're telling me there's an AI out there creating personalized nutrition plans now. What will they think of next?
It's certainly an exciting development in the world of nutrition and technology,
Yeah.
and it speaks to the growing awareness of the importance of personalized health management.
All right, I'm hooked. Let's dive into those specific examples and see what this AI has to say. What are some of the food categories that stood out to you?
Well, one of the first categories that jumped out at me was simple sugars.
Okay. Not too surprising there. I think most people know that sugary drinks and processed snacks aren't doing them any favors.
True, but the table also highlights certain fruits like mangoes and grapes
Okay.
that, while they are nutritious,
Mhm.
are relatively high in sugar compared to other options. It's a good reminder that even natural sugars can contribute to high triglycerides if consumed in excess.
That's a good point. I think a lot of people assume that if it's natural, it's automatically healthy. So it's
Yeah.
all about moderation, even with the good stuff.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's a category for saturated and trans fats,
Right.
which we already touched on with the palm oil discussion.
Right. But this section also lists things like full-fat dairy red meat and even baked goods as potential sources of these unhealthy fats.
Exactly. It's a reminder that these fats can be lurking in places we might not expect.
Yeah.
And it emphasizes the importance of reading labels carefully and choosing leaner options whenever possible.
It's about being aware of those hidden sources of saturated fat that can sneak into our diets.
Yeah.
So besides simple sugars and unhealthy fats, what other categories did the AI flag?
Well, one that might surprise some people is excess alcohol.
Oh, okay.
While we often think of alcohol as separate from food, it actually gets broken down into sugar in the body.
Oh, that makes sense. So even if you're skipping the sugary cocktails, that glass of wine or beer can still have an impact. It's all connected.
Precisely. And then there's a section on refined carbohydrates,
Right.
which includes things like white bread pasta and white rice.
Okay.
These foods are quickly digested and can cause spikes in blood sugar, just like those sugary drinks we talked about earlier.
Interesting. So it's not just about avoiding sweets. It's about being mindful of those refined carbs as well. I'm sensing a theme here. It's all about making smarter choices about the types of carbohydrates we consume.
That's a great observation.
Hmm.
And finally, the table includes a category for excess calories in general.
Okay.
This is a good reminder that even if you're eating healthy foods,
Uh-huh.
consuming more calories than you burn will lead to those excess calories being stored as triglycerides.
Yeah.
It all comes back to that balance we were talking about earlier.
Right. So even if you're loading up on fruits and veggies, if you're eating way more than your body needs, those extra calories can still contribute to the problem. It's like anything else, too much of a good thing can be bad.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're fueling your body effectively without overloading it. Now, what I find particularly valuable about this AI-generated table is that it's not just a list of good foods and bad foods.
Uh-huh.
It's about understanding how different types of foods affect our triglyceride levels and how to make informed choices based on that knowledge.
So it's more about empowering us to make smart decisions rather than just dictating what we can and cannot eat. I like that.
And I think that's what makes this deep dive so important.
Yeah.
It's not about making people feel guilty or overwhelmed, but rather about raising awareness and giving them the tools
Yeah.
to take control of their health.
It's like you said earlier, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to our health.
Couldn't agree more. So as you listen to this, we want you to take a moment to reflect on your own diet.
Okay.
Are any of the foods listed in this AI-generated table regulars in your diet?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you can make a few small changes to reduce your intake of some of these items?
That's a great question to think about, and it goes back to what we talked about earlier regarding the prevalence of high triglycerides.
Right. If 1 in 3 adults are affected globally, then chances are this information is relevant to you or someone you know.
Exactly, and that's why we're doing this deep dive. We want to equip our listeners with the knowledge to take control of their health.
Yes.
Now let's circle back to the blog post for a moment. The author brought up a point about palm oil
Yes.
that I think is worth highlighting, again, especially for those of you who might be thinking, well, I don't use palm oil in my cooking, so I'm good.
Right.
It's not always that simple.
Oh, absolutely. It's a crucial point.
He mentioned that even if you're diligently trying to eat healthy, palm oil is often a staple ingredient in many cuisines around the world, particularly in dishes you might find at local restaurants or even those passed down through generations in home cooking.
Right.
It can be tough to avoid.
And that's precisely what makes it so insidious. You might be super careful about writing labels at the supermarket,
Yeah.
but then you go out to eat or have a meal at a friend's house, and you're unknowingly consuming a significant amount of palm oil in dishes you thought were healthy.
Right.
It's like a hidden dietary trap.
Totally. So what can we do about that? Should we be interrogating every chef and grandma about their cooking oil?
Well, maybe not interrogate, but definitely be more mindful and inquisitive.
Correct.
Don't be afraid to ask about the ingredients or cooking methods used in dishes,
Yeah.
especially if you're concerned about your triglyceride levels.
Right, because awareness is the first step towards making better choices.
Exactly. And when it comes to palm oil, it's not just about its presence, but also the quality. As we touched on earlier, restaurants and processed food manufacturers often use lower quality, less refined,
Right.
and even repeatedly use palm oil.
So not all palm oil is created equal. That's good to know.
Precisely. The quality and how it's processed can significantly impact its health effects.
Uh-huh.
And unfortunately, the less refined varieties, often found in those less desirable sources,
Right.
can be more detrimental to our triglyceride levels.
So it sounds like knowledge is our best defense when it comes to navigating this palm oil minefield. What are your thoughts on that?
I couldn't agree more. It all comes down to being an informed consumer.
Right. It's about taking the time to read labels, ask questions, and make choices that align with our health goals.
Absolutely. Now, as we wrap up our discussion of this AI-generated food table, I'd like to touch on another interesting point the blog post raises.
Okay.
How our food environment and cultural norms influence our perception of what's considered a normal diet.
Uh-huh.
This ties in nicely with our discussion about palm oil.
That's a fascinating topic. So often we just adapt to what's around us without even questioning it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when it comes to food, our surroundings can significantly shape our understanding of what's normal to eat,
Right.
even if it's not necessarily the healthiest.
So what's the blog post's take on this?
Well, the author argues that because ingredients like palm oil are so prevalent in many local cuisines,
Uh-huh.
people might not even realize they're consuming an excessive amount of saturated fat.
Right.
It becomes normalized as part of the background noise of their daily diet.
It's like we develop a collective blind spot to these things.
Exactly. And that's why resources like this blog post and the AI-generated food table are so valuable. They help us break free from those ingrained assumptions and make more conscious choices.
It's like shining a light on those hidden corners of our diets that we might not have even realized existed. And it goes back to that idea of empowerment that we were talking about earlier.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this deep dive so valuable.
Yeah.
It's not just about providing information.
Uh-huh.
It's about sparking a shift in perspective.
So before we move on to the next part of our deep dive, I want to pause for a moment and ask our listeners a question.
Okay.
How do you feel about the foods in the AI-generated chart? Are any of them regulars in your diet?
Yeah.
Did anything on that list surprise you?
Those are great questions to consider.
Mhm.
Take a moment to reflect on your own eating habits and see if anything resonates with you.
Exactly. And maybe this deep dive has already got you thinking about making some small changes to your diet. Every little bit counts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And remember, this isn't about striving for perfection or feeling guilty about your choices.
Right.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Well said. And I think that's a great note to end this part of our deep dive on.
I agree. We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still much more to explore. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll delve deeper into the nuances of those specific food categories and how they impact triglyceride levels.
Welcome back. So we've talked about the prevalence of high triglycerides, what they are, and how lifestyle choices can play a big role. Now, I'm really curious to unpack this AI-generated food table in more detail. What stood out to you the most?
What's fascinating about this table is that it highlights the interconnectedness of different food groups. For instance, we often talk about sugar in isolation. But this table shows how excess alcohol, refined carbohydrates, and even some fruits can contribute to elevated blood sugar, which ultimately impacts triglyceride levels.
That's a great point. It's not just about cutting out soda and candy bars. It's about understanding how different types of sugars and starches can affect our bodies.
Precisely. And this table also makes it clear that managing triglycerides is about more than just specific ingredients. It emphasizes the importance of overall calorie balance. Even if you're eating primarily whole, unprocessed foods, consuming more calories than you burn will still lead to those excess calories being stored as triglycerides.
So even if you're making healthy choices, portion control still matters. It's all about finding that balance, right?
Exactly. Now let's zoom in on a few specific food categories from the table that might surprise some listeners. One nugget that caught my eye was the inclusion of certain fruits.
Yeah, I was surprised to see mangoes and grapes on there. I always thought of fruit as a healthy choice no matter what.
And they are. Fruits are packed with vitamins, minerals, and fiber. But it's important to remember that they also contain natural sugars. While these sugars are better for you than processed sugars, they can still contribute to elevated triglycerides if consumed in excess, especially for individuals who are already struggling with this issue.
So it's not about avoiding fruit altogether, but being mindful of portion sizes and choosing lower sugar fruits more often.
Exactly. And this is where the AI food table can be really helpful. It provides a more nuanced perspective on food choices, encouraging us to think about the overall composition of our diet, rather than just labeling foods as good or bad.
It's about making informed choices, not just following rigid rules. I like that approach.
Another category that might raise some eyebrows is excess alcohol. I think many people associate alcohol consumption with social gatherings or relaxation, not necessarily with triglyceride levels.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be surprised to learn that those glasses of wine or beer can actually contribute to the problem.
It's not just about the calories in alcohol itself. As we mentioned earlier, alcohol gets metabolized into sugar in the body, which can then lead to an increase in triglyceride production.
So it's a double whammy: extra calories and a sugar spike all in one. I guess moderation is key here too, right?
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears and talk about another category that's often misunderstood: fats. We've already discussed saturated fats and their impact on triglyceride levels. But this table also highlights another type of fat that's worth paying attention to: trans fats.
Trans fats, those are the really bad ones, right? Like the kind you find in processed foods and fried foods.
Exactly. Trans fats are created through a process called hydrogenation, which turns liquid oils into solid fats. They're often used to extend the shelf life of products and improve their texture. But the problem is that trans fats are incredibly harmful to our health.
I've heard they're even worse for you than saturated fats. Is that true?
They definitely have a more detrimental effect on cholesterol levels. Trans fats raise your LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, and lower your HDL cholesterol, the good cholesterol. This double whammy increases your risk of heart disease even more than saturated fats.
Wow, so it sounds like avoiding trans fats is a non-negotiable when it comes to heart health.
Absolutely. And the good news is that trans fats are becoming less common in food products as awareness of their harmful effects has grown. Many countries have even banned or restricted their use.
That's reassuring. So what are some of the key takeaways from this AI-generated food table? What are the biggest things people should keep in mind when trying to manage their triglyceride levels through diet?
I think one of the most important lessons is that it's not just about specific ingredients, but about the overall balance of your diet. We've talked about the importance of reducing saturated and trans fats, limiting refined carbohydrates and added sugars, and being mindful of portion sizes even with healthy foods.
It's a holistic approach, looking at the big picture rather than getting bogged down in the details.
Exactly. And this table also reinforces the idea that even small changes can make a difference. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Start by making gradual substitutions, swap out white bread for whole grain, choose lean protein sources over fatty ones, and opt for water or unsweetened beverages instead of sugary drinks.
Those are great actionable tips. It's about making those small, sustainable changes that add up over time.
Precisely. And the beauty of this AI-generated table is that it provides a personalized roadmap for making those changes. It highlights the specific areas where you might need to adjust your eating habits, making it easier to target your efforts.
It takes the guesswork out of it and gives you a clear path to follow. Now, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier: palm oil. I know we've already talked about it quite a bit, but I think it's worth revisiting in the context of this food table.
I agree. Palm oil is a great example of an ingredient that's often hidden in plain sight. It's in so many processed foods, and as we discussed, it can be difficult to avoid even when eating out or enjoying home-cooked meals.
Right, it can be lurking in places you wouldn't expect. So what's the best way to navigate this palm oil dilemma?
Awareness is key. The more you know about where palm oil is found, the better equipped you'll be to make informed choices. Start by reading food labels carefully. Palm oil can be listed under various names, so it's important to familiarize yourself with its aliases.
So it's not enough to just look for palm oil on the ingredient list. You have to be a bit of a detective.
That's right. And don't be afraid to ask questions at restaurants. Inquire about the type of oil they use for cooking or frying. You might be surprised at how many chefs are willing to share that information.
It's about being an active and informed consumer. I like that. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question. If an AI can generate a personalized food table to help manage triglycerides, what other aspects of our health could technology revolutionize in the future?
That's a fantastic question. The possibilities are truly endless.
Imagine a world where we have AI-powered tools to help us manage everything from our sleep patterns to our stress levels to our exercise routines. It's exciting to think about.
I completely agree. And this deep dive into triglycerides is just a glimpse into the potential of technology to empower us to take control of our health.
So to our listeners out there, we encourage you to continue this exploration on your own. Take a moment to reflect on your dietary habits, consider making those small, sustainable changes we've discussed, and keep an open mind to the possibilities that lie ahead.
And in part 3, we'll wrap up our deep dive by examining the larger implications of these findings and exploring some of the broader societal factors that influence our food choices.
Welcome back to our deep dive into high triglycerides. We've talked about what they are, how common they are, and how our everyday choices can make a real difference. Now, I'm curious to explore some of the bigger picture implications of this topic. What stood out to you as we've been unpacking all this information?
What's really striking to me is how much our environment and cultural norms shape our dietary habits, often without us even realizing it.
Right, we talked about palm oil and how it's become so ingrained in many cuisines that people might not even realize they're consuming excessive amounts of it. It's just become the norm.
Exactly. And this goes beyond just one ingredient. Think about portion sizes. In many cultures, large portions are seen as a sign of generosity and hospitality. But this can contribute to overeating and ultimately higher triglyceride levels.
It's interesting how those cultural norms can have such a significant impact on our health sometimes without us even questioning them.
Absolutely. And this raises an important question. How do we balance those cultural traditions with the need to make healthy choices? It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
I think it starts with awareness. The more we understand how our environment and cultural background influence our eating habits, the better equipped we are to make conscious decisions.
I completely agree. And I think this deep dive has done a great job of raising that awareness, particularly with the AI-generated food table. It's a tool that empowers individuals to take control of their health by providing personalized insights and guidance.
And it's exciting to think about the potential for technology to play an even bigger role in managing our health in the future. We've only scratched the surface.
I think we're at a pivotal moment where technology and healthcare are converging in ways we couldn't have imagined even a few years ago. The possibilities are truly inspiring.
I'm curious, where do you see this all heading? What kind of impact do you think AI and other technologies will have on the way we approach our health in the years to come?
I envision a future where we have access to personalized health data and insights in real time. Imagine wearable devices that track not only our steps and heart rate, but also our blood sugar levels, nutrient intake, and even our stress hormones.
Hmm.
This data could then be used to create customized recommendations for diet, exercise, and lifestyle changes tailored to each individual's unique needs and goals.
That sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. But it's incredible to think that this could become a reality in our lifetime.
And it's not just about data collection and analysis. AI could also be used to develop more effective treatments and therapies for conditions like high triglycerides. We're already seeing the emergence of personalized medicine, and AI is playing a key role in that evolution.
So it's about empowering both individuals and healthcare professionals to make more informed decisions.
Precisely. And this brings us to another important point, the role of education and access to information. As technology advances, it's crucial that we ensure everyone has the knowledge and resources they need to benefit from these innovations.
I agree. We need to bridge the digital divide and make sure that health information and technology are accessible to all, regardless of socioeconomic background or geographic location.
And this is where communities, educators, and healthcare providers all have a role to play. We need to work together to foster health literacy and empower individuals to take ownership of their well-being.
So this deep dive into high triglycerides has really opened up a broader conversation about the future of health and the transformative potential of technology. What's the one key takeaway you hope our listeners will walk away with?
I think the most important message is that we have more power than we realize to influence our health outcomes. While genetics and environmental factors play a role, our lifestyle choices, particularly our dietary habits, can make a profound difference. And as technology continues to evolve, we'll have even more tools and resources at our disposal to support us on that journey.
It's about taking an active role in our health and being open to new possibilities. And with that empowering thought, we'll wrap up this deep dive into high triglycerides. We hope you found it insightful and motivating.
Thank you for joining us.
Until next time, keep diving deep.